COROS or Garmin. So today I took out the Garmin Forerunner 970 as well as the COROS Pace Pro and I put them to the test. I wore both watches on my run because I want to know which watch is more accurate and which data is more trustworthy. So in order to make sure that I got the most out of this test, I did a couple things. I ran through my local neighborhood that is quite windy, as well as I ran to my local high school so that I could show you guys on the track how these watches perform as well, to get more of an overall test for what you guys are actually going to be doing on your everyday runs and see which watch is for you and is the data reliable. So next, I'm going to open both apps and show you the terrain maps for the same exact run so that you can decide for yourself which one was actually more accurate. All right, guys, I'm downstairs. Let me get these apps open so that I can show you the data from both watches for the run, for the Garmin and the COROS. I used the COROS Pace Pro right here and the Garmin Forerunner 970. Also, just as a note, I did use identical watch bands for both. This is by far the most comfortable band that I've tried and used. This is the limoncello color or the yellow color of the COROS vinyl strap. No matter what watch you end up going with, I would suggest that you get one of these. I think they're $30 or $40. They're extremely comfortable and they're extremely durable. You can wash them every single time after you finish your run. I just hand wash with a little bit of dish soap, like a drop, and then I use a little hand towel and they're good to go. Also, hit that subscribe button if you like running content or you are a runner. I have a lot on my page and I'm always adding to it every few weeks, whether it's me preparing for the Indianapolis Marathon this year, or tips about stuff that I've learned along my running journey, or things that I've mistakenly done that hopefully you can learn from without making the same mistakes. There's something for pretty much everybody on my channel, so hit that subscribe button and enjoy the rest of the video. All right, so let's start with the COROS app first and the COROS Pace Pro. So as you will see here is the COROS app. Now let's click on the run, and here is my 7-mile run from today. Now we're gonna zoom in and we're gonna follow along for a little bit, but I am gonna speed it up so that you're not having to, spend 5 minutes here. But one thing to note is I run on the left side of the road whenever I'm running, and today I ran directly on the white line whenever I could, just as a general guideline so that you can see how accurate COROS actually was, especially on turns and on straightaways. And so far there's definitely some wobbling back and forth. The only spot that there really should have been was the one that we just passed, because there was a truck that was actually parked on the road. So I had to run around that, but COROS did not pick that up. And right here, this was probably the best turn that I think COROS got. That was pretty spot on. So here, as you can see, it has me running in the middle of Pinnacle. I was not. I was running on the side of the road. And here you have lines that are crossing over, even though that did not happen. And yet again, crossing over. And so you have one side that really it's pretty wide. As you can see, we're going through this. There is a sidewalk right there, as you can see. So, it has me dashing off the sidewalk, then it has me back on, and it's close. It is pretty close. And there are spots like right there where it was actually dead on for where I was right here yet again. So, maybe there was some cloud cover that rolled through and blocked the satellite. I don't know. Right there, pretty good. That looks about pretty good. I turned around right there. Here is one of the key moments. As you can see in that crosswalk, I crossed directly dead in the middle. And as you can see in the crosswalk, it has me almost completely out of it. And then as I'm coming down that grass path, it has me about over a lane over. Now that is a whole car lane. So that is roughly about, I don't know, 5 or 6 feet. So a pretty significant difference. And then going through that crosswalk again, I was right in the middle, and yet it had me far off of it. So we're in the ballpark, but we're not spot on. And that's pretty much my overall opinion of the COROS Pace Pro, is that it's going to get you in the ballpark, but I'd rather be more hypercritical of something that you're considering purchasing than being lackadaisical and then you buying it and just not being impressed. So let's get to the track data. Here is where things got interesting. interesting. So there were things that I really liked and things that I didn't. And we'll get into what I liked and disliked about Garmin next when it comes to track data. So when I came over to the track, I had two things in mind. I was going to do just 2 easy laps, and I wanted to gauge the difference. I wanted to see, one, if it was going to be different in lane 1 versus lane 8, and 2, how close was it going to be. The first lap that I did in lane 1, and as you can see, it's close, but I wish I could zoom in more with this app. But in reality, the more that I could zoom in on my actual phone and see versus what it's able to do right now, as you can see, is, there are some of it is in lane 1, but most of it is lane 2 or lane 3. That may not seem like much, but if you're running, say, 8 miles on a track for whatever reason, that's going to add up. It might be actually, counting more miles than you're actually running. So always, if you're on a track, my guidance as a former track runner is follow the track. The track is measured. It is 100% accurate. If you're in lane 1, I can promise you it's an all-weather track. That is going to be 400 meters all the way around in lane 1. Now, the interesting part about COROS is when I switched over, as you can see here, to lane 8, it's almost spot on for the entire thing. It has me going a little wide. I don't know why that could be, but the rest of it is almost dead center in lane 8. And as you can see, there's this little tail off here. I actually jogged over there because I was throwing out my gel that I had mid-run because it was a 7-mile run, so I take a gel in the middle. And then I ran, as you can see, across the fence over here to then exit out because that is where the gate is. And yeah, spot on with that part. Some of this you'll see it does look like I'm running through grass. The high school got a renovation years ago, so all of that is actual path. It's not, dirt, and I'm not running through some track and field stuff. But so as you can see here, also there was a new sidewalk that was put in the past couple years, and it's pretty spot on to where the sidewalk actually is. I know that the satellite doesn't show it, but it is pretty good. And then you get going here on Bartlett. That is a little bit wider. I actually was hugging that grass line, so I mean that's a extra feet here and there. All right, I think you get the gist. So let's open up Garmin and see if it's more accurate, less accurate, or if it's the same. All right, so we got the Garmin app open now. So let's zoom in. Luckily, the Garmin app does allow you to zoom in a lot closer. And so far, I mean, it is spot on. I was wearing my Garmin on the left wrist. I was wearing my COROS on the right wrist. So the fact that this line is a little bit to the left of the white line makes perfect sense for where my body was. The fact that COROS was doing the same thing on the other side of my body does make me question what was going on. As you can see there, it's still spot on right on the white line. And as we are getting out of the neighborhood, because we're going to fast forward, this is the first real blimp right here. It does go wide around this corner. I'm not sure what happened there, but it definitely was a little bit more wide. But then you get back to the sidewalk and it's spot on, right direct center in the middle. That's exactly where I crossed. That is also the crossing point. I tried to get as close to that grass line as possible to see how accurate these would be, and that nailed it. I ran right next to the gutter. So as you can see here, I mean, it's spot on. Don't mind the lines that keep coming in and out. It's something weird with the app. But yeah, as you can see, it is cruising along nicely, and look at that turn right there. I mean, that's a thing of beauty to see on a GPS watch back to back. I mean, these turns are spot on. I also, like right there, I was doing some 90-degree turns to see how well it would pick that up or if it would round it off, and it picked it up really well. Also, as you can see, I was on the sidewalk and 80% of that was right smack in the middle where I was. I mean, this accuracy is quite impressive, within inches, let alone feet. So there we go, round again. I mean, I think you guys get the gist, the Garmin Forerunner 970. So for both watches, I did use the highest setting possible, which was dual frequency on both of them, just so that I was able to actually compare these two watches, knowing that the price points are very significantly different. So as you can see here, it is still extremely accurate. One thing to note is right here, as you can see with the Garmin, I mean, that is smack dab right in the middle of the crosswalk, which was exactly where I was. And then as we're moving along, I was running right next to that curb. And I mean, that's about as close as it gets. Again, I did a 90-degree turn on purpose to get through that crosswalk. I mean, that's exactly how I did it. So now let's fast forward a little bit because I think Garmin seems spot on the winner, right? But let's get to the track. So now as we get into the track, like I mentioned, the high school has had some renovations, so it does look like I'm running through grass. It's actually a very beautifully paved area. They built a new stadium for all varsity sports, it looks like, so that's pretty cool. As you can see right there when I'm coming in, that's the little building where there's a little water fountain. The interesting thing is the little zigzag near the track was me malfunctioning the gate and having to step back because I pushed it forward, and it caught that. That is pretty amazing because that was maybe 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, and then a little side jive. I mean, that's impressive that it picked that up. But now to where Garmin really did mess up. I'm not sure if all the Forerunners have this, but I can at least confirm for this watch it does, is it has what is called a track detection. Now, this is wonderful if you're just running in lane 1 or whichever lane that you choose. I believe you have to preset it to whatever your track settings are. And my track setting is for lane 1 because that's where I do intervals. So as you can see, lane 1, I mean, it's dang near spot on, and the only parts where it goes into the grass, it also goes wide on the other side. So as I back out here, you can see that even though it's a little off, it's still the perfect actual oval. So you're still getting the perfect distance that you actually ran on the track, which is quite amazing. I mean, their track detection is pretty high class. The only part that you missed on there was, like I mentioned on the COROS, lap 1 was in lane 1 and lap 2 was in lane 8. However, with the track detection, it just assumed that I stayed in lap 1 versus actually noticing that I was a good 10-15 feet away. So that's a problem, but it's also fixable. And one thing that you can do is you can turn off the track detection. So if you know that you're going for a run and you know that you're also going to do some laps around a track, but you may not be in lane 1, you can turn that off before your run, and then it won't do that, and it should be more accurate. And that's something I'm actually going to test this week just to make sure, because I am curious myself. I'll just put out a short and you guys can check that out next week. It'll probably be 10-15 seconds just to prove that it's accurate without it. All right, so the data is in. The COROS Pace Pro for $350, whatever the price point is right now. That is a great selling point for a watch that is pretty close. And you know, I did not send these watches for any test. I paid for both of them out of my pocket, and I just wanted to provide a video for you guys for something that I've been searching for, which was somebody doing a test on these watches to actually show which one is more effective for the types of running that I'm going to be doing, which is throughout neighborhoods, doing races in cities and towns, going out on country roads, going out on bike paths. And for me, if you're trying to go to the track or any of those things, the Garmin Forerunner 970, it's going to be your best bet for your most accurate data. And yeah, there's no question for me. I'm going to be rocking my 970 for the rest of the season and all the way to the Indianapolis Marathon in 2026. I hope to see you guys there. Remember, if you're enjoying the videos, please hit like, please leave a comment. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. And if you're on an Indy, I'll see you at the start line.